We're back. I'm Carl Azus, and this is CNN Student News. Hope you guys had an awesome summer. We are kicking off our first show of the school year, so let's get to it. One of the greatest weeks of my life. That is how Michael Phelps describes his experience at this year's Olympics. Now, all the athletes competing in the Summer Games have the same goal: gold. For 36 years, Mark Spitz set the standard. He swam for a record 7 golds in the 1972 Games. But you know what they say about records. Thanks to Phelps, another swimmer, this bar is now a whole lot higher. Larry Smith has more from Beijing on the newly crowned king of the pool.
There will be thousands of pictures to show what Michael Phelps did in Beijing this past week, and millions of words to describe it. But years from now, what will not fade is 8 pieces of gold, a shining testament to a transcendent performance.
Records are always made to be broken, no matter what they are. Anybody can do anything they set their mind to. I said it all along, I want to be the first Michael Phelps, not the second Mark Spitz.
8 is a lucky number in Chinese culture. These games started on 8/8/08, and they were taken over by Phelps shortly thereafter. Each race became a fireworks show of its own, 7 world records punctuating his perfection.
I guess it's a lucky number for me now, too. It's, seeing 8/8/08 and opening ceremony starting at 8:08, I guess it was maybe meant to be, I don't know.
To say Phelps is now a superstar is to understate his achievement. 17 races over 9 days, with both thrilling and dominating finishes splashed throughout, all live in front of a world captivated. If overcoming Mark Spitz's Olympic record of 7 gold medals was historic, what comes next may be as epic as once building the Great Wall itself. Possibly the greatest Olympian ever at 23, with a legacy still looking towards London in 2012.
There are some things that I still want to do. I want to raise the bar in the sport of swimming more. It's come a long way, and I think it can go even farther.
This country is rich in a history colored by grand achievements that took millions, many years to accomplish. Michael Phelps will now be a part of that history, but his wonder will be remembered as singular, and it will only be one color: gold.
If you could ask this Olympic champion a question, what would you want to know? What it takes to be a great swimmer, maybe some training tips, where he stores all those gold medals. Well, on Tuesday, Phelps will be answering some viewer questions on CNN.com Live. So grab your camera, send in your question in an iReport. Remember to keep submissions brief and to the point, and to get your parents' permission. You can find a link to send in your questions at our website, cnnstudentnews.com. Some other Olympic headlines: the title of world's fastest man belongs to Jamaica's Usain Bolt, an appropriate name. He covered the 100 meters in 9.69 seconds on Saturday. That is a new world record. 41-year-old American Dara Torres won 3 silver medals in Beijing. Her 12 medals since 1984 ties her for the record for most medals ever by an American woman. And in women's gymnastics, the U.S. finished first and second in the all-around competition. Nastia Liukin and Shawn Johnson taking gold and silver.
Is this legit? In Greek mythology, the Golden Fleece was found in what is now the country of Georgia. This one's true. According to the legend, Jason and the Argonauts retrieved the famous fleece from the ancient kingdom of Chalkis, which is part of the present-day country of Georgia.
That present-day country is presently in the news because of recent fighting with Russia. There is a ceasefire agreement, and it is offering hope that all of this violence has reached an end. Russia is the largest country in the world. It's more than 1.5 times the size of the U.S. Georgia, which borders Russia to the southwest, is a little smaller than the state of South Carolina. This country was absorbed into the Russian Empire back in the 19th century. It regained its independence in 1991. Recent fighting is centered around 2 provinces inside Georgia that want their own independence. They each have their own governments, and they're supported by Russia. This conflict started more than a week ago. Georgian troops went into one of the provinces to deal with a pro-Moscow uprising. Russia responded by invading the country, and the fighting spread. It's not clear how many people have been killed, but the UN says more than 150,000 residents have been forced to leave their homes. For now, both sides have agreed to end the hostilities. Back in the U.S., parts of Florida are bracing for Tropical Storm Faye. It's expected to move past the Keys tonight and then head into the Gulf of Mexico before moving back over Florida later in the week. This thing could strengthen into a hurricane by the time it affects the U.S. Residents in the Keys started preparing for Faye over the weekend. They're tying down their boats, stocking up on supplies. Officials urge visitors to evacuate ahead of this storm, and the governor of Florida preemptively declared a state of emergency.
Time for the shout out. At what wind speed does a tropical storm become a hurricane? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it 52 miles per hour, 63 miles per hour, 74 miles per hour, or 85 miles per hour? You've got 3 seconds. Go! When a tropical storm's wind speed reaches 74 miles per hour, it gets upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
Shifting over to politics now, and the first time that Senators Barack Obama and John McCain have shared a stage since they both became the presumptive nominees of their parties. This event took place Saturday night at the Saddleback Church in California, but it was not a debate. This is a forum where the presidential hopefuls fielded questions on issues like reproductive rights, the war in Iraq, and their personal faith. Patty Lane has the details for us.
How will your values form you as a president was a central theme at a forum held for Barack Obama and John McCain Saturday night at a Southern California church. Asked about a time when he had to go with his conscience against what was popular, Obama spoke about his early opposition to the Iraq War.
There were a lot of people who advised me, you should be cautious. This is going to be successful.
On other issues, Obama said he is pro-choice, but supports ways to reduce the number of abortions, and said he would go to war without United Nations approval if he felt it was justified. Halfway through the forum, John McCain joined Obama on stage before the stage was turned over to the Republican senator. McCain on moral failures, both his own and the nation's.
The failure of my first marriage. It's my greatest moral failure. I think America's greatest moral failure has been throughout our existence. Perhaps we have not devoted ourselves to causes greater than our self-interest.
On abortion, McCain said he believes life begins at conception and said his presidency will have strong pro-life policies. I'm Patty Lane, reporting from Atlanta.
The next big step in the campaign trail, conventions. That's when the nominees ditch their presumptive part of their title, becoming official nominees. This is our Talking Democracy topic for August. We've been breaking down election-related issues and inviting you to submit iReports on them all year long. Check out all of our Talking Democracy coverage online and stay tuned for more on conventions later on in the week. Before we go today, we'd like to take you back to elementary school. Remember those nervous kids going up to the front of the class, holding up a report and saying, "What I did on my summer vacation." Well, this is our version of that. We're going to give you a sense of what was going on when we were off the air. Sunny San Antone, the trails, the Alamo, the National Educational Computing Conference. That's where our producer and executive producer told education industry pros how you can get involved in Talking Democracy. The short version, through iReports. When there was a break from presenting CNN student news to teachers, there was a tour of Atlanta's historic Oakland Cemetery, hosted by our own web producer, Jeff DeHaze. We also hosted about 100 Georgia high school students for Leadership Unplugged. This was a week-long summer program that put students on the Georgia Tech campus and worked to develop their leadership skills. Meanwhile, some of us hit the gym, some of us hit the beach, some of us hit both. We spent some time on the trail, I spent some time in the sky, and we spent some time working on bi-weekly summer webcasts, so you'd always have something special to see on CNNStudentNews.com. Not a bad way to spend the summer. Now it is on you. Send us an iReport showing off how you spent your vacation, then check back tomorrow for more CNN Student News. We're going to see you then. I'm Carl Azuz.